If you wake up every morning and jump straight out of bed within seconds, this video could be the most important thing you watch today, because cardiologists have been warning for years about a small 25 to 30-second window right after waking up that most people completely ignore. This isn't about fear, this is about awareness, and by the end of this video you will understand exactly why so many heart-related emergencies happen in the early morning hours, and what simple habit could help protect you or someone you love. Stay until the end, because the part coming up in the middle of this video is the one most people skip past in their daily routine without ever realizing the risk. Let's start by understanding what actually happens inside your body the moment you open your eyes. While you sleep, your heart rate slows down, your blood pressure drops, and your entire body shifts into a calm, low-energy state. This is completely natural and healthy. But the moment you wake up, your body begins a rapid transition. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline start rising quickly, your blood vessels begin tightening, and your heart starts working harder to pump blood throughout your body. This shift is sometimes called the morning surge, and cardiologists have studied it for decades because it's one of the reasons why a higher number of cardiac events tend to happen in the first few hours after waking up compared to any other time of day. Now here's where the 25 to 30-second mistake comes in. Many people, the instant their alarm goes off, sit up quickly and get out of bed almost immediately. It feels normal, it feels harmless, and most people have done it their entire lives without a second thought. But for someone whose blood pressure is already on the higher side, or for someone with underlying heart conditions, this sudden movement combined with the body's natural morning surge can place extra strain on the cardiovascular system at the exact moment it's already adjusting to several internal changes at once. Think about it like starting a car on a freezing morning and immediately flooring the accelerator. The engine hasn't warmed up, the oil hasn't circulated properly, and suddenly you're asking it to perform at full capacity. Your heart and blood vessels work in a somewhat similar way after a full night of rest. They need a short window to adjust before being pushed into full activity. Skipping that adjustment window, day after day, year after year, is what many cardiologists refer to as an avoidable daily stressor on the heart. This is exactly why doctors recommend taking those 25 to 30 seconds after waking up before getting out of bed. It sounds incredibly simple, almost too simple to matter, but this small pause gives your blood pressure and heart rate a chance to stabilize gradually instead of spiking suddenly. During this short window, your body can finish its natural transition from a resting state to an active state without the additional shock of standing up too quickly. Let's talk about why mornings specifically carry more risk for heart-related events. Multiple medical studies over the years have observed that heart attacks and strokes tend to occur more frequently in the early morning hours, generally between the time many people wake up and the few hours that follow. Researchers point to several contributing factors working together at once: the natural rise in blood pressure, increased blood thickness in the morning hours, the surge of stress hormones, and for many people, the abrupt physical movement of getting out of bed too quickly. None of these factors alone are necessarily dangerous, but when they combine, especially in someone who already has risk factors like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or a family history of heart disease, the combination becomes something cardiologists pay close attention to. It's also worth understanding that this isn't just about elderly individuals. While age is certainly a factor, increasingly younger adults are also showing signs of cardiovascular stress earlier in life due to high stress levels, poor sleep quality, excessive caffeine intake, and sedentary lifestyles. This means the advice about taking those extra seconds before standing up isn't only for seniors. It's a simple habit that benefits people of nearly every age group, especially those who already deal with anxiety, high blood pressure, or disrupted sleep patterns. Now let's talk about another habit that often goes hand in hand with this mistake, and that's reaching for your phone the second you open your eyes. Many people wake up and instantly start scrolling through notifications, messages, or news updates before their feet have even touched the floor. While this might seem unrelated to heart health, mental stress and emotional reactions, especially to negative news or work-related messages, can trigger the same stress hormone response that physical movement does. Combining sudden physical movement with sudden mental stress first thing in the morning creates a kind of double impact on a heart that hasn't even had a chance to properly wake up yet. Cardiologists often describe the ideal morning routine as a gradual one. Instead of jumping out of bed the second the alarm rings, taking a few slow breaths, allowing your eyes to adjust to the light, and giving your body those crucial 25 to 30 seconds before sitting up can make a noticeable difference over time. After that, sitting on the edge of the bed for another few seconds before standing fully is another small step that allows blood pressure to adjust gradually rather than dropping or spiking suddenly, which is especially important for people who experience dizziness upon standing. This brings us to another important warning sign that's often connected to this exact issue: feeling lightheaded or dizzy immediately after getting out of bed. Many people experience this occasionally and brush it off as simply not being a morning person. But repeated dizziness upon standing, especially in older adults or anyone managing blood pressure conditions, is something that should never be ignored. It can be a sign that your cardiovascular system is struggling to keep up with sudden positional changes, and it's exactly the kind of symptom that doctors want patients to report rather than dismiss. Let's also talk about hydration, because it plays a bigger role in this morning window than most people realize. After 6 to 8 hours of sleep without drinking any water, your body is naturally in a mildly dehydrated state by the time you wake up. Dehydration can make blood slightly thicker and harder to circulate efficiently, adding yet another small layer of strain during that already sensitive morning period. This is why many cardiologists recommend keeping a glass of water beside the bed and drinking it slowly after waking up, rather than rushing straight into the day on an empty, dehydrated system. Another factor that deserves attention is room temperature and how it affects this transition. Waking up in a very cold room and suddenly exposing your body to that temperature shift while jumping out of bed can cause blood vessels to constrict rapidly. This is particularly relevant during colder months, when health professionals often note a noticeable rise in heart-related emergencies. Allowing your body a moment to adjust before stepping onto a cold floor or walking into a cooler room is a small but meaningful part of giving your cardiovascular system the gentle start it needs. Now, you might be wondering, does this really matter that much for an average, healthy person? The honest answer is that for most healthy individuals without underlying conditions, the body adapts well most of the time. But the real value of this habit lies in prevention. Heart health isn't usually about one single dramatic moment. It's about the accumulation of small stressors repeated daily over years and decades. A habit that takes less than 30 seconds, repeated every single morning for years, can become part of a much larger picture of long-term cardiovascular wellness, especially when combined with other healthy habits like regular exercise, balanced nutrition, proper hydration, and consistent sleep schedules. Let's also take a moment to understand why this particular topic has received so much attention from cardiologists over the years. When researchers study patterns of cardiac events, they don't just look at random moments throughout the day, they look for clusters, for times when certain types of emergencies happen more frequently than statistical chance would suggest. The early morning hours have repeatedly shown up in this kind of research as a period where the body experiences a unique combination of physiological changes all happening within a very short window. It's not that mornings are inherently dangerous for everyone, it's that mornings represent a period of rapid internal transition, and rapid transitions are exactly the kind of moments where underlying vulnerabilities, if they exist, tend to reveal themselves. Consider how different this is from the rest of your day. By midday, your body has already settled into its active rhythm. Your blood pressure has typically stabilized at its daytime baseline, your hormone levels have adjusted, and your cardiovascular system isn't being asked to shift gears suddenly. The morning, however, is the one time each day when your body moves from a state of near-complete rest to full alertness in a remarkably short period. Understanding this difference helps explain why something as small as the speed at which you get out of bed can matter more than it might initially seem. There's also a psychological layer to this conversation that's worth exploring. Many people associate mornings with rushing. Alarms go off, and almost immediately the mental checklist begins. Get up, check the time, check messages, start getting ready, think about the day ahead. This mental rush often happens before the body has even had a chance to physically catch up. The result is a kind of mismatch, where the mind is already sprinting into the day while the cardiovascular system is still in the early stages of its own wake-up process. Over time, training yourself to slow down even slightly during this specific window can help reduce that mismatch and ease the body into the day more naturally. It's also helpful to understand how this connects to something called blood pressure variability, a term cardiologists use to describe how much someone's blood pressure rises and falls throughout the day. Research has shown that people who experience sharp, sudden spikes in blood pressure, rather than gradual changes, may face different long-term cardiovascular outcomes compared to those whose blood pressure shifts more smoothly. While many factors influence this variability, including diet, stress levels, and existing health conditions, the manner in which someone transitions from sleep to wakefulness is considered one of the contributing pieces of this larger puzzle. Another commonly overlooked factor is how alarm clocks themselves can play a role in this morning surge. A sudden loud noise jolting you awake triggers an immediate startle response, which is essentially a rapid burst of stress hormones designed to prepare your body for sudden action. This is very different from waking up naturally, where the transition from sleep to wakefulness tends to be more gradual. For those who rely on loud, abrupt alarms every single day, this repeated startle response, combined with quickly jumping out of bed afterward, creates a daily pattern of sudden physiological stress that accumulates over months and years. Simply switching to a gentler alarm sound, or gradually increasing volume alarms, can soften this effect considerably. Caffeine timing is another piece of this puzzle that often goes unnoticed. Many people wake up and reach for a cup of coffee almost immediately, sometimes even before getting out of bed. Caffeine itself can raise heart rate and blood pressure temporarily, which means consuming it during that already sensitive morning surge window adds yet another layer to a system that's already adjusting to multiple changes at once. This doesn't mean coffee needs to be eliminated. For most people it remains perfectly safe, but giving your body even a short window after waking, before introducing caffeine into the mix, allows your natural morning transition to happen with one less variable competing for your cardiovascular system's attention. It's also useful to mention how this entire conversation connects to long-term heart monitoring. Many cardiologists encourage patients, especially those over a certain age or with known risk factors, to track their blood pressure not just once during a doctor's visit, but at consistent times throughout regular days, including shortly after waking. This kind of home monitoring can reveal patterns that a single office visit might never catch, such as unusually sharp morning spikes that could otherwise go completely unnoticed. If you've never tracked your blood pressure first thing in the morning before getting out of bed, and then again a few minutes after standing and moving around, it can be a genuinely eye-opening exercise, and one worth discussing with your doctor if you notice anything that seems unusually high or inconsistent. It's worth pointing out that none of these individual factors are typically dangerous on their own for a healthy person. The concern cardiologists raise is about accumulation and combination, particularly for people who already carry risk factors. Someone with well-managed blood pressure, a healthy lifestyle, and no underlying heart conditions is unlikely to face serious consequences from rushing out of bed occasionally. However, for someone managing hypertension, recovering from a cardiac event, living with diabetes, or simply growing older and noticing their body responding differently than it used to, these small morning adjustments can become genuinely meaningful parts of a broader health strategy. This is also a good moment to mention the importance of consistent sleep patterns, because the quality of your morning transition is closely tied to the quality of the sleep that came before it. Irregular sleep schedules, frequently interrupted sleep, or consistently insufficient sleep can all make the morning surge more pronounced, since the body hasn't had the chance to fully complete its natural overnight recovery process. Establishing a consistent bedtime and wake time, even on weekends, supports a smoother, more predictable transition each morning, which in turn makes that 25 to 30-second pause even more effective. For those who exercise in the morning, there's an additional layer worth considering. Jumping straight from bed into an intense workout, without any warm-up period, essentially compounds the morning surge with the physical demands of exercise at the same time. This doesn't mean morning workouts are unsafe. Millions of people exercise safely every morning, but it does reinforce the same underlying principle running throughout this entire video. The body benefits from gradual transitions rather than abrupt ones, especially first thing in the day. A proper warm-up before exercising, combined with that initial pause after waking, gives the cardiovascular system a more reasonable runway before being asked to perform at a higher intensity. It's also worth mentioning that none of this replaces proper medical care or regular checkups. If you have known heart conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes, or any cardiovascular risk factors, your doctor is the only person who can give you guidance specific to your own health history. This video is meant to raise awareness about a commonly overlooked daily habit, not to diagnose or replace professional medical advice. If you ever experience chest pain, shortness of breath, sudden dizziness, or any symptoms that feel unusual or alarming, seeking immediate medical attention is always the right step, regardless of what time of day it happens. Let's bring this back to something practical you can start doing as early as tomorrow morning. When your alarm goes off, resist the urge to immediately throw the blanket off and jump up. Instead, take those 25 to 30 seconds to simply lie still, take a few slow breaths, and let your body acknowledge that it's waking up. Then, slowly sit up on the edge of the bed for a few more seconds before standing. Keep a glass of water nearby and drink it before doing anything else. Avoid reaching for your phone the second your eyes open, especially if you tend to check stressful messages or news first thing. These small adjustments cost you almost nothing in terms of time, but they give your heart and blood vessels the gentle transition they were designed to need. If you currently live with a parent, grandparent, or any older family member, this is information worth sharing with them directly, because awareness is often the simplest and most effective form of protection. Many people go their entire lives without ever hearing this advice, simply because it sounds too small to matter. But cardiologists continue to highlight it precisely because small, consistent habits often make the biggest difference over the long run, far more than most people expect. Ultimately, your heart works for you every single second of every single day, without rest, without complaint, and often without you even thinking about it. Giving it 30 seconds in the morning to adjust before asking it to perform at full capacity is one of the simplest forms of respect and care you can offer your own body. It costs nothing, it takes almost no effort, and yet it reflects a deeper understanding of how your body actually works behind the scenes. If this video helped you understand something new about your own health, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.